right, firing it up again as we keep the engine roaring along, firing on all cylinders as we headlong into the new day, all right? So we're fighting for you every day from the foxhole of freedom, delivering for you the best analysis anywhere and making sure that you are informed before you go into this day. Three big things you need to know right now. Number one, some areas doubling the electric vehicle charging rates. Doubling the EV charging rates. How green is that? Or does that make you just red with anger? Number two, lawmakers challenging local clean energy goals because it's crushing them in their local communities. And number three, how about this? Michigan lawmakers accuse Whitmer of hijacking election laws. Right? Yeah. Hijacking the ballots. 2 Michigan state senators, 9 House members taking their battle over election law straight to the Supreme Court. They filed a petition with SCOTUS arguing that Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, and Jonathan Brader, Director of the Michigan Election Bureau, bypassed the legislature and the U.S. Constitution. And the U.S. Constitution. Yeah. By allowing ballot initiatives to overhaul the election laws in this state. They say they're out of line. The lawmakers, led by Senator Jonathan Lindsay of Coldwater and Steve Cara of Three Rivers, claim Whitmer and Benson ignored the Constitution's elections clause, which gives state lawmakers, not governors, or voters with Sharpies and clipboards the power to regulate federal elections. I agree with them. I've always thought that it was up to the state lawmakers. This case is about whether the people's representatives can speak on their behalf in response to blatant violations of the U.S. Constitution by state officials, said Attorney William Wagner of the Great Lakes Justice Center. The governor and Secretary of State say no. We, on behalf of the people's representatives, say yes. At the heart of the issue, 2 constitutional amendments. You're familiar with them, of course. Proposals 2 and 3 from 2018 and Proposal 2 from 2022. It all rewrote Michigan's election rules without a single vote from the legislature, not one vote. The changes include same-day voter registration without any valid ID, up to 29 days of early voting, private funding of election operations. And these provisions are now locked into Michigan's Constitution, at least for now, making them almost impossible to alter. The legal war started back in September 2023 with the case Lindsay v. Whitmer. Both the District Court and the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals tossed it out, saying the lawmakers lacked standing, meaning the courts wouldn't even hear the case on its merits. The lawmakers, undeterred, are now asking SCOTUS to let them have their day in court. If I, as a legislator, don't have standing to say election laws are being passed without legislative approval, then who does? Asked Cara. He also chairs the House Freedom Caucus. Representative Rachel Schmidt, Republican Martin, another plaintiff, warned of the slippery slope. What happens to our constitutional rights if those who would undermine our elections find ways to usurp the Constitution's protections and no one has, quote, standing to fight for those rights? Then what? Fair questions, right? The petition argues that if the United States Supreme Court does not step in this backdoor route, the changing election laws could become the norm, not just in Michigan, but across the country. Undermine and destroy election laws and ignore the Constitution. Advocates like Patrice Johnson of Michigan Fair Elections say this legal end run is already being used to push ranked choice voting onto Michigan's 2026 ballot. Outside actors know they can't mislead legislatures to pass these election integrity killing laws, so they pour millions of dollars into running deceptive advertising campaigns to bamboozle voters into approving them. Now these actors are trying to repeat the unconstitutional process and put ranked choice voting on the ballot for 2026. We have to stop this now. Now, whether the Supreme Court will take it or not is yet to be seen. It reviews such a small number of cases it gets each year. But if the court grants the review, Whitmer and Benson could be headed for another uncomfortable round of national scrutiny. We shall see. Look, it's the way the Constitution is written. It's the lawmakers of the many states that can do election law. I said that before. I said that when these were on the ballot. We talked about that in this program. I said it's not constitutional. And then the Sixth Circuit said, well, basically it is, but it's not. Well, you've turned to the voters. It's not what it says. It says you're lawmakers, people there to represent the people. The elected officials there to represent the people are the ones that have the power, not anybody else. Meanwhile, Michigan's Upper Peninsula might as well be its own state when it comes to energy production, according to one Michigan lawmaker. And that's why several Republicans in Lansing are pushing for legislation that would largely exempt the UP from the Democrat-controlled 2023 legislative package that touted renewable and clean energy goals. Some lawmakers arguing the renewable energy and clean energy laws are a one-size-fits-all solution out of Lansing that ignore the needs of individual communities, and I'm quite sure that's exactly true. Those laws require electric providers to generate at least 80% of electricity using so-called clean energy by 2035 and 100% by 2040. 15 years from now. 100% has to come from windmills and solar panels, which is garbage. Everybody knows it, of course. In addition, the law requires electric providers to hold a renewable energy portfolio of 15% through 2029, increase it to 50% by 2030, less than 5 years from now. 60% by 2035, less than 10 years from now. When the laws passed in 2023, the UP had just purchased new natural gas facilities online that ratepayers will be using and paying for through 2050. Parker Fairbairn of Harbor Springs, who referred to the UP as its own state in terms of energy needs, said House Bills 4007 and 4283 would protect 13 reciprocating internal combustion engine generators from looming shutdowns. It's more reckless policy in pursuit of God only knows what. We don't need solar panels. We don't need windmills. We need energy. It comes in the form of natural gas, coal, oil, gasoline, diesel, dense hydrocarbon energy. Energy density is key. Energy density is key. People know that. Oh, by the way, the city of Saginaw doubling its EV charging rates. People that, and every one of these stories, by the way, you can find in their entirety at MichiganNewsSource.com. If you want a source that has the news that you're not going to find anywhere else with investigations and in-depth reporting, you'll find it at MichiganNewsSource.com. So people that drive electric vehicles and want to charge up using the city of Saginaw's public charging stations, you will see some of the rates more than double. Yeah, from 12 cents to 25 cents per kilowatt hour. Fast charging stations from 16 to 30, also doubling. Yeah. Congratulations on your new EV. We just doubled the cost of putting juice in it, all right? Nice to see you here. Straight ahead, State Representative William Bruck will join me. Don't go anywhere.